Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Really excited to have my good friend Rafael Cortez on today. He is an operational expert, very systems and processes oriented, which is really how most of us should be treating our business, right? Today, we're going to talk about systems and processes for wholesaling, and we're going to go through his wholesaling business blueprint.
Welcome to Real Estate Investing Secrets. We're all looking for freedom and the opportunity to live better, more fulfilling lives. But most of us were trained our entire lives to work for someone else and chase their dreams. How can we use real estate investing as a vehicle to achieve financial freedom? My life is dedicated to answering your real estate investing questions and helping you build an investing business that allows you to change your life and the world around you, and to enable you to turn your dreams of financial freedom into a reality. My name is Mike Hambright from FlipNerd.com, and your questions get answered here on the Real Estate Investing Secrets Show.
Hey, Rafael, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, glad to be on. And for those that don't know, I was actually on your show recently. So a lot of us that are podcasters, sometimes, I was on your show and I was like, hey, why don't you come on my show? So some kind of back-to-back shows here. Great to see you always. And I'm excited to talk about this because I talk about, I actually have a lot. I don't know if I should say this out loud. When I create content, I try to stick to, I've created some pillars of content that I like to talk about. Things that, like, surrounding yourself with the right people, and your network is like one of my pillars, and treating your business like a business with systems and processes, having the right people in place is one of my pillars. Like, I talk about that all the time. And I know that's what we're going to talk about today, because I think a lot of wholesalers and certainly a lot of newer real estate investors treat it like a job for sure. Right. And guys like you and me are on a mission to help them turn it into a real business. Right.
Absolutely. I think it's often overlooked. People get enamored with the idea of, oh, you know what, I'm going to, get a wholesale deal and then bank out $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a deal. Right. And then what happens is that people get paid on that, and then they have to start all over again. Rebuild the whole thing. So it becomes like this project as opposed to this business. And I think one of our good friends said it best, Tom Crow, right? Hustle is a season. I added the portion of not a business strategy. So I'm a avid believer that hustle is a season, not a business strategy. Eventually you have to create something that's sustainable. Otherwise you're just going to be trapped in that self-employed, not business owner.
That's exactly right, man. I use those almost same words all the time, is that people get into this. First, I think a lot of people get into it for one of two reasons, but they're kind of tied together. Financial freedom, like they want to get some big paydays, and then they want more control over their life. And what ends up happening with a lot of people is they might make, either they make a ton of money or they make enough money to, like, keep them at least not from going back to a W-2 job, because they can't make that kind of money there, but it's not great money, but then they're still a slave to their business. So they don't have that time freedom. Maybe they're making decent money, but if they go on vacation, the business stops. Somebody in the family, God forbid, gets sick, the business stops. And that's not a real business.
No, absolutely. There's no consistency. A couple of things happen there, like psychologically, right? People start getting pissed off with the quality of life they're living because they've seen the possibilities. Like when you tap, for example, when you get a check of $30,000, $40,000 and you're used to a 9 to 5, it breaks your mindset. It really breaks your thought process. It's like, holy crap, okay, I can make this much money, right? What if it happens every month? What if it happens every month a couple of times? So people start getting a taste of that. And then when they go back to the 9 to 5, or they lose that consistency and get trapped in that hustle, there's almost discontent. You know what I mean? They're like, I've seen the greener side of the lawn. Like, I don't want to go back to to the other side where I can't make this thing. And ultimately, I think we all work for options, right? We're trying to dictate our options and have a good range of those.
Right. Yeah. Hey, before we jump in here, for anybody that is listening right now that doesn't know who you are, tell us a little bit about your background.
Background, I used to be a firefighter. So I became a firefighter when I was 19 years old. I launched my first business, which was a non-emergency medical transportation business, nothing to do with real estate. And I was 21 years old at the time. So I've been used to having my own ball of wax to play with for the last, the 18 years. I'm 39 now, going to be 40. But yeah, so that's how I started as an entrepreneur. In 2009, I got into fix and flipping because I was able to put some cash aside and I wanted to invest, right? Diversify. The transportation business was doing well. That's where I got my my feet wet and really got baptized under fire when it comes to systems, because it's an industry that has a lot of logistics. You can't perform if you don't, like, you're forced to systemize when you're in transportation, just because of the nature of the beast.
Yep.
And so I kind of brought in some of the like methodology and systems and strategies and discipline from the firehouse into that transportation business. And then I kind of, that spilled into the whole real estate thing. I started doing fixing and flipping. I bumped my head a few times in terms of, losing some cash on flips and then breaking even on others, and the whole digging the trench thing, right? And after that, a couple of years after that, I started wholesaling. When I realized that I could, make money just from, selling the vested interest in a property as opposed to swinging a hammer, like, it's game over. This is what I want.
Yep.
So,
that's awesome, man. And now you spend a lot of time helping people grow their business and turn it into a real business, not a job, right?
Yeah. So eventually, I went back to school. I have a bachelor's in business administration. I have a master's degree in psychology and a second master's degree in organizational psychology. So that's my official title. I'm an organizational psychologist, and I put people in business, people and systems together. Essentially, I like to play with that kind of stuff. And ultimately, like, the bottom line is to create a machine that works without you, right? It's not if I go on vacation 30 days, I want to come back and make sure that everything's still humming. I don't want things to fall apart, which is often what happens. I know I've been there a bunch of times.
Once my business got to a point to where when I left, my team did better while I was gone than I was away. I knew I was on
crazy,
right?
Yeah,
cool,
tapping
man.
into the talents of the team is it's huge, empowering.
And when you start to think about, like, I want to go on a vacation, like, a lot of people, this is a perfect sign. If we go on vacation and we're able to compress and get all this stuff done, like right before we leave, and then right before we get back, but it's like I got a week's worth of work done in one day. That's a sure sign that you need better systems and processes, because there is a more efficient way to do what you're doing. And you figured it out when you were going to go on vacation or when something happened. And so that should be a sure sign that it's like, hey, get these systems and processes in place. So your company is doing a week's worth of work in a day, 365 days a year, right?
Right. Yeah, it's insane. Like, the level of productivity, right? One thing that happens that, I was micromanaging when I had the transportation business, and I got burned out. So, it's not a happy story, throughout. I really got burned out. I got demoralized. I was, fatigued, tired, and I was 26 years old. Like, you know what? Just take me. I don't want to live anymore. And I'm not that type of guy, right? Like, I remember waking up when I was 17 years old, and like, I owned the world in my head, and the spark, and I kind of lost that because I got so ingrained in that hustle, that micromanagement, that trying to break walls with my forehead type of deal. And I think a lot of times, like, as entrepreneurs, we fall into that space accidentally, right? Because we're watching the bottom line. We're hiring, maybe we hire bad, and then now we have to, we got a baby that we got to take care of instead of an employee who's empowered. So there's a lot of things that play into it, but eventually made it to a point where we have a pretty solid team, and then the companies, I own multiple companies now, and they kind of feed each other, and they all elevate at the same time. So it's pretty cool. And it's not like I've done that on my own. And if I hadn't tapped into teams, into the talent of other people, which I'm blessed to have in my reach, I wouldn't be anywhere near. So.
That's awesome, man. Well, so today we're going to talk about kind of 6 steps or a process of the Wholesaling Blueprint that folks can kind of use to basically help them be more efficient in their business, right? So let's kind of dive in. What's number 1?
So I call it the Wholesaling Business Blueprint, right? And it's a path. It's a tried and tested, battle tested, approach to getting deals on a regular basis. Now, the framework, you can transfer it. You can apply it to, commercial real estate, to traditional real estate. We have a similar framework in my brokerage. But the steps are the same. Like, the essential principles are very similar. So the first one is going to be sourcing. You got to have a way, and understand that you don't have to have a big, massive team to have a process in place. You can be a one-person operation. I can't emphasize that enough. You can be a one-person operation and still understand that you're following a framework. Because when you get ready to hire people and plug people into your system, into your operating system, you know where to plug them into. You know what to keep them accountable for. So that's important. That's why it's important to segment kind of like the actions that go hand in hand with the business. The first one is going to be sourcing deals. You know that all we do is pretty much gauging for interest, and sourcing can look like, pay-per-click, mail, PPC campaigns, direct mail campaigns, SMS, texting, cold calling it's a big one for us. But all you're doing at the sourcing stage is plowing through records. If you're pulling lists or you're reaching out to people and they're raising their hands. Okay. They may want $1 million for their $200,000 property. That's fine. We're not pre-qualifying, we're sourcing. And the reason that we segment that to just the sourcing stage is because if you hire cold callers, for example, there's a lot of attrition. So if you have the cold callers do pre-qualification as well, you're always going to have to be training. And it's easier to train for a one-page cold call script than it is to pre-qualify and have social awareness of what's going on and teach them the whole industry, right? So we segment that. Sourcing. The second step is pre-qualification. That's where my lead managers come in. So anytime somebody raises their hand, they want an offer, it automatically goes to the lead managers, and they have that conversation, that discovery conversation where they pre-qualify, which is stage two. We pre-qualify based on condition, motivation, timeline, and price. So we have 4 pillars that we follow, and it's a very structured type of conversation, not robotic, but structured. So there's certain ways that we ask for details and stuff like that to kind of discover what the real issue behind the sale is. Right. Because ultimately what we want to do is produce a solution, not just give them an offer and then if they don't take it, we move on. Like, no, if there's a problem to be solved, I mean, we can come in and play in that area.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they get pre-qualified. 3 out of 4 makes it over to our acquisition. So we're not burning out our snipers, right? Per se, like the acquisition specialists. These are people who are trained in negotiation. We spent good money building them up and empowering them to train. They go to continuing education and whatnot. You can spend a lot more money and time with somebody who's doing acquisitions because they're going to be making a lot more money than, for example, the cold calling. One mistake that I see all the time is that they'll have the acquisition rep cold call, pre-qualify, and then run the deal, and sometimes even dispo it. And if that person leaves, like that percentage of your business, if you only had 2 people there, 50% of your business is just left.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like that's where the wheels fall off, right? But we go to acquisition, and then get that contract signed. You have everything sent over to dispo, which is stage number 4, disposition process. So the manager has a couple of different responsibilities. The one of them is going to be build up the buyers list. Like, so even if there's nothing for them to actively be marketing at that time, say all the properties are being marketed, they're out live with the buyers list and everything, they're still building out the buyers list. They're building relationships, going to meetups, and then just broadening up the network, like you were talking about earlier. It's very, very important. So that happens at dispo. And of course, sell the deal, get paid. So that's stage 4. Most businesses stop there. If you look at the life of a wholesale deal, people get paid and then boom, they go back to sourcing the deals, right? Or looking for sellers again. But I think if you leave the last 2 steps out of this equation, it's a big mistake. The 5th one is measuring. We're always tracking. We track KPIs, we track reach, we track conversion, cost per lead, cost per deal, offers made. I mean, and we run this measuring stack through a single meeting every week. So every week we get together, we go over the scorecard, and it's a very methodical approach. That's what takes me about 90 minutes to jump in on that call and then be part of that meeting. Everything else is run by itself, and then I just kind of tap in during the week. But it's not sucking up my time because all the other roles are assigned. You know what I mean? So it works well on the measuring stage. Now, what you find there, it's crazy. For example, I can give you a couple of weeks, about a month and a half ago, I think we saw a drastic drop in leads. And that's because we're tracking every single week, right? So we saw a dramatic drop, boom, the leads bottomed out. we go into the campaigns that we're running. We found out that they had red flagged new words on the SMS, protocols. So we go in there, and a lot of those words were part of the templates and whatnot. So we had to come in, and we caught it the next week, right? So we didn't have to wait 2-3 months before we spent a bunch of cash and no results and whatnot to figure out what to do.
Because you were tracking the KPIs, you instantly knew there was a problem somewhere.
Exactly. You're tracking the numbers, and what gets measured gets improved, right? Simple principle. And so we saw that it bottomed out. We came in, fixed it. Next week, we're right back up. But that's the kind of stuff that you have the ability to see when you measure stuff properly. Exactly. Then as we're digesting all that information, we have a 6th stage, which is the improve. Like, you never forget to ask yourself, what could we have done better? Like when we have, I don't know, we close 3-4 deals in a week or whatnot, we'll go over every single one of the deals. And then, okay, what happened in this conversation? We'll do a breakdown, or the acquisitions manager does a breakdown with the management team, acquisitions team. And, what happened? Did we leave any money on the table? What did we do good that we can actually come in and then turn into an SOP, standard operating procedure for stuff going forward, and that's the improvement process. And then you go back and figure out what that looks like and start sourcing again. But
like the circle, right? You run your business, you review how it went, you figure out what you can do better, and you just get better and better and just keep going round and round, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you break it down like that, it just brings a lot of clarity. Because, for example, if we don't have enough prospects for acquisitions to work, we'll look at the conversion. Okay, so we go one step back. Okay, do we have enough leads that we need to convert? If that's a yes, but they're not making it over to acquisitions, we know we have a conversion problem, right? So that's where the bottleneck is. Now, if we don't have enough leads, we know we can go down another step to the sourcing. So you figure out where your kinks are at, and then you can come in and work them. And then, it's my favorite part, right? Coming in as the owner, as the CEO, and then taking that 30,000 foot view, looking at, the overall machine, and then seeing where the gaps are and improving that. That's I think it's almost like an ego boost when you come in and they're like, oh, cool, I see that. They didn't see it. I saw it. But it's because the overall, you're cheating. You're kind of cheating because you have the blueprint. Like, you have the whole thing laid out. So
talk a little bit about how people, there's a lot of people that might be listening to this that are newer. They don't have a team yet. It's just them.
Yeah.
These things are harder to do. I mean, you should go through a similar process, right? Obviously, if you're a wholesaler, you're generating leads somehow. You're qualifying them, going on appointments and making offers, whether you do it over the phone or in person. And then you're ultimately selling the properties. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, what could I do better? You kind of learn from it, but even if you're not using reporting, right, per se. But this all gets kind of better and easier to manage when you can pull yourself up and not have to do the day-to-day tasks as well, right?
Yeah.
So what are some tips you could give folks for you're basically scaling your business up? And I talk about this all the time, like, you're here and you want to kind of get here, right? And how do you bridge that gap to go from a solopreneur to having a team? Because the business really can get you where you want to go. From my experience with most people, is once you are doing, every market's a little bit different, but 3 to 4 deals or more a month, because now you've got the revenue, the profit to go afford some people on your team to kind of do some of the things that will help you pull out of the day to day, and you can run it like a business, right? So let's talk a little bit about kind of bridging that gap, going from the solopreneur to a scaled up entrepreneur, and some advice you would maybe give.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first thing is going to be, you can scale chaos, or you can scale systems, right? So if you have no idea what you're doing, you're thinking about scaling, you need to come back and then just go back to the drawing board, figure out what the process is. And for example, because if you hire too soon, say that, I don't know, I want an acquisitions manager or acquisitions guy. Like, okay, what are they going to be doing? What's the accountability that you're going to be holding them up to, right? That's huge to know. I think when we're starting off, especially bootstrapping, I bootstrapped every business that I've been a part of. We have the opportunity to lay out the foundation, right? So we know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So lay out that foundation, and you don't have to get it perfect, right? You don't have to dial everything in and then have everything, massive imperfect action is 1,000 times better than having a real nice, business plan. Massive imperfect action is going to really tell you what you need to focus on. Yeah. So start, start documenting everything. One thing that I do, which is it's kind of like a hack, but every time I'm doing something new, say that I'm running comps through a new system or something, I'll turn on, I go to loom.com and I have an account with Loom. It's like $10, stupid cheap. But you turn that thing on and you start talking over what you're doing. You're documenting. So you go through that one process, right? And 3 minutes later, now you actually have a trainable piece or a trainable, piece of material that you can give somebody else so they can learn it. And what happens is that you start documenting all your actions. And breaking it down, right? So for example, if somebody wants to scale, like the first person, if cold calling is one of your approaches, the first hire is it's always going to be a VA. Don't go try to, get a director of operations right out of the gate, a dispositions manager when you're not generating, deals. You need leads. You need to have that consistency. And I'm telling you, Mike, it's a game changer when you have one thing that I see often. It's with a lot of people that go into my program is, they're really good at negotiating and selling deals, but the consistency is not there. Mm-hmm. If you plug somebody in at the beginning of that whole chain and the sourcing part, it's going to be like it's like they're refilling the tank every single day. You know what I mean? So that consistency is there. So if you're hiring, if you're thinking about scaling and moving on to that next level, your first hire is going to be somebody who keeps that consistency in the marketing going on. If it's a cold caller, make sure you give them enough leads and have them pump that stuff. Just stay on it 8 hours a day and then dialing. And because when you have a trickle of leads, you feel that pressure to move, right? A lot of times is, I don't have anything, so I have to generate. And that's really what stops people in their tracks and they don't move forward. Yeah. So that would be one of the things. If you're looking at hire, at the base of it, you can, as you start to plug more people into it, you can hire and do, for example, profit share, pay based on percentages of revenue. I'm a big proponent on merit pay. I do a lot of bonuses. I do also I'll do 10-20% on commissions from whatever they generate based on merit. And that works out real well. And the second thing that it does, it keeps my overhead and my personal profitability. It's kind of protecting that, right? Because it's based on production.
Variable compensation. Yeah,
exactly. So the you don't always have to go, straight up salary and keep it, with that corporate structure. You can get a little creative when it comes to having your own business.
Yep. Yeah. That's great. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making as they kind of scale their business up? It could lead back to what you said a few minutes ago, which is they scale chaos, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that, what are some other things you see that people do in the process of going from a solopreneur to running a real business with a team?
So here's one is hiring too soon and not understanding. I'm not saying that you have to be an expert, but you have to understand the different areas of your business. Ultimately, it's your responsibility. You're not coming in to buy, unless you're buying an already running, wholesaling business, then it's a different story, right? But if you're building it out, you have to understand, you have to know enough that you're dangerous in it. That way you know what to keep people accountable for. One mistake that I see, people who have $30,000, $40,000 available. Okay, what do I do? Where do I put it in who do I hire? And they're not generating deals yet. Go through the trench work. The best advice I can give anybody out. I mean, hell, before I started hiring, I think I was on 1,200 face-to-face appointments at least, before I actually, brought somebody into the team and started, doing some of that stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But you have to go through that practice, to that repetition. One, because you're going to understand the conversation. You're going to understand how sellers, process, how they think, and then you can train your people. But two, it's if you don't go through the process of actually doing that kind of stuff yourself at the beginning and getting, bathed in it, you're not going to be ready when the real conversations happen. For example, if you've never had a negotiation conversation and you want to hire somebody to do lead gen, whenever they do produce something and you make it to that seller's table, you're going to be freaked out. You know what I mean? You may have a script, but the practice is not there. The thicker skin is not there, as opposed to when you, hit 100 conversations in cold calling. And you get rejected and you build up that muscle. So the biggest advice or I guess mistake that I see, people hiring too soon for the stuff that they don't like to do, And the keyword there is, or phrase is, too soon, right? You still have to understand it. Even if you don't like doing it, it's not gonna be a forever thing, but it's definitely something that you need to come in and understand, I feel.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything we missed today? I think at the end of the day, we're on the same page. We want people, and I think people want this too. We want it for them and they want it too. Build a business that can give you the lifestyle you want. And, maybe you make a lot of money, but some of that money needs to be reinvested back in the business to help you kind of grow and basically buy your time back. Right.
Right.
So is there anything else that we missed today that we didn't cover?
The doubt, when it comes to the psyche, a lot of people feel that I don't have what it takes. This is insanely difficult. It's not for me. I don't know if I can do it. These people do it, but it's them. It's not. It's gonna sound cliche, right? But if I can do it, anybody can. It's the process of following something that's already laid out. It's gonna be huge, and having that understanding that if you give something enough time to work, it pans out, right? Because you figure out the unkinks along the way. So if you're thinking about jumping into, I don't know, wholesaling or flipping or something, just do the due diligence, but take that first step. I mean, take that first action that's going to unravel everything else. Don't wait until you have it all figured out in your mind, down to the detail to actually take that first step. It's not, trust me, like 2 steps into it, everything's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been talking about this a lot lately, but people you have to stop being afraid to fail and look forward to failing. Like nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to crash and burn, but those failures are stepping stones. Those are lessons learned. A failure is not final unless you actually quit and say, hey, I'm done now. This is the end. Otherwise, a failure is just like, what do I not do? Don't do it that way again. Don't do it that way again. Oh, next time, let me adjust a little bit and do it this way. Like those are opportunities to kind of learn and adjust. And you have to go through that process to get to anything that's meaningful down the road in your life.
I think failures are great. I mean, fail fast, right? Fail fast and fail often, I guess. It's may not sound like the most sound advice, but the thing behind that is that you get over it. For example, like a failure actually led me to the family mastermind. I was like, all right, cool. I need to think outside my box because my box sucks right now. I was like, so I eventually made it out to that place, to that mastermind, which is amazing. I mean, that's where we met. And one thing led to another. Like that opened up my perspective in so many different things. But it's a failure that's a lesson. You know what I mean? That lesson opens you up to different things. Yeah, opens you up to different things. So don't fail once and then feel like you're just so devastated that you can't keep going.
It's just like when a little kid learns to walk, right? You fall down, you fail, you learn. Like if I put my hand on something and it stabilizes me, you kind of learn, and the next thing you know, you don't need to hold on to anything, right? And it's the same thing. Like for us, it's just a different version of falling down or having to prop yourself up or whatever, but those are lessons learned.
Yeah, we can choose the hard that we want, right? It's 9 to 5 forever. It's pretty hard. Hustling and then building a business, that's pretty hard too. But I don't know, I like that second one better.
More control for sure. So Rafael, if folks want to connect with you, obviously you've got a podcast. I know you train and help a lot of people. Where can they go to connect with you?
Social media is going to be the best place. You can find me everywhere at Rafael Cortez, CEO. Rafael Cortez, CEO. The CEO pulls podcasts on iTunes and everywhere as well. And then if people want to download a version of the what I just went over, like 6 stages, they can go to reiwholesaling.com/flip. And that's going to be a full PDF on just kind of breaking down, some of the stuff that I talked about, given, some of the KPIs that we look at in terms of metrics and measurements and stuff like that. So,
Awesome. Well, appreciate you joining us today, my friend.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much, man. It's an honor.
Yeah. And everybody, hope you got some great value from today. Great stuff here. Rafael's a great guy. He's got a ton of knowledge. We have reinvigorated and kind of relaunched our Facebook group, which is pretty active with thousands of real estate investors. So go over, if you go to flipnerd.com/group, flipnerd.com/group, you can opt in and get access to our groups there. We're putting a lot of live content, and they're actually live trainings every week now. So we'd love to see you there. And otherwise, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to today's show. There are 3 ways I can help you start or grow your real estate investing business. If you're a new investor and just getting started, the Flip Nerd Investor Coaching Program is the most effective program in America. I've been coaching and mentoring new real estate investors for 10 years, and my students have literally purchased thousands and thousands of properties. Many of them started with little to no experience at all. Our program is a paint-by-numbers program where we tell you exactly what to do week by week to make sure that you don't get distracted on your way to results. We show you how to build a real business, not just create another job for yourself. New memberships are limited. You can learn more and apply or schedule a call with me and my team at flipnerd.com/coaching. If you're an experienced investor doing a minimum of 10 deals a year, up to 500 deals a year or more, or have a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio already, you should check out our powerful Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. Over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors are members, and it's not uncommon for our members to 2 to 5x their business just from getting around other members at Investor Fuel. At Investor Fuel, each of us are business advisors to one another's businesses, but we don't stop at business. We focus heavily on becoming better people and living fuller lives. If you're looking for fuel for your business or fuel for your life, please check out investorfuel.com. Applications and interviews are required, as most investors are not a fit for our community. Please learn more at investorfuel.com. If you're not ready for coaching or masterminds but eager to start learning more about investing, please join our private Facebook group by visiting flipnerd.com/Facebook. New members get access to free training from us right here at flipnerd.com, and it's a community to safely ask your questions, a great place to get started. Simply go to flipnerd.com/Facebook to request your access today.